Hello, welcome to this week's tutorial. Today we are going to design a priming experiment which looks at the effect of priming on a word fragment task. So what is a word fragment task? You will be given a string of letters, but basically these are words, but some alphabets of some letters in that word would be taken out, and your task is to report what the full word is. So that's kind of what a word a fragment task is. So before the word fragment task, we give a bunch of words to the participants like a prime. You pre-expose them or train them with a bunch of words, and in the test phase where you use the word fragment task, you give word fragments from the earlier list in the study phase, and also some new words that were not present in the study phase, and we look at the difference in the participants' ability to accurately complete the word fragment for words from the study phase versus the words that were not present in the study phase. So there are two phases. In the study phase, you give sequentially present words to participants, and they rate the familiarity of that word. And in the second phase, you give a fragmented word with some letters missing, and the participant's task is to complete the word as accurately as possible. So this is a task. Now first let me show you what are the words that I'm going to use. Ideally you would want to use a lot of words, but for us for today's video we are just using a bunch of study words. So I'm just going to show you the Excel file which will be used inside PsychoPy. So you can see I'm using giving 5 words as study words in the initial study phase, and then in the test phase I gave word fragments, and this is how my word fragments look. So there are basically some alphabets that are missing, some letters missing, and you can see some of them are from the study list and some of them are not from the study list. We call it the test words. Okay, so this is the stimulus that we're going to deal with for today's experiment. All right, so now let's open PsychoPy and start with our first routine. Our first routine is the study phase, where we sequentially present the word and get the familiarity rating. This should be pretty straightforward. What we need is a text stimulus. So you have a text stimulus, and the content of that text is the variable name of the Excel file, first row of the Excel file. Let me show that again. So you can see these are my study words, and the variable name is study underscore word. So that is going to be my variable. So let me add the text. Okay. $ study underscore test. Okay, how long do you want? There are some studies that that use 8 seconds, so let's just stick to that. 8 seconds exposure to that particular word. The word is going to come at the center of the screen. The rest of the things will be on default. Okay, so we have a text which is a word that's going to be one of the 5 words in the study list of study words. That's going to be here. Change this to every repeat, because in every iteration this will have to change. Okay, we have that. Now let's add a slider. Okay, so so far we've been mostly using mouse responses and mouse click responses and keyboard response. This is a very useful tool for response tick collection, which is called the slider. So we can start at 0 and let it stay for until the response ticks. By default it's from 1 2 3 4 5 6 5, and you can change it if you want a 7-point scale or a 9-point scale. You can change this. We can specify the label. So the first if I let's say give I want a familiarity rating, right? So familiar is 1, unfamiliar is 5. Okay, so familiar inside double quotes, comma, unfamiliar. This will just give participants an idea what 1 means and what 5 means. So familiar is going to come on the left side, unfamiliar is going to come on the right side. The position is, let's go for minus 0.3. So on the y-axis, if you give minus 0.3, it's going to be slightly below the center in the y-axis, and the x-axis is going to be at the center. So it's going to come on the lower half of the screen, but centrally aligned. Okay, now we have that. We have created the slider response. Now we need to add the loop, because we need to continue this, showing the study words one by one. So let's add a loop. Okay. Inside the loop, we want our conditions file, and our conditions file is the study word file. So this is the study words file, and you can see that there are 5 words in my study word list and 1 parameter study underscore word, which we added as a variable in the text component. Nrep, I'm just keeping it at 1 so that it completes faster. Okay, so now we have a loop running over it. So this is a text that's going to be coming on the screen, which is a word that people are going to be exposed with, and a slider that where they can indicate how familiar the word is. Now let's add the test routine. So this is going to be new routine, and let's call this the test routine. Okay. So we have to place it here, and inside the test routine. So what are the components that are going to come inside the test routine? So firstly, we need, we want the text, the word fragment to appear on the screen, right? So that's the first, first stimulus that we got to, add on the screen. All right, so that is going to be appearing on the upper half of the screen. So let's add a text. Okay, this text is going to stay there for until, let's say, until response, or maybe you can specify the timeout. For instance, if somebody is not able to complete the task, after, let's say, 10 seconds, you're not considering the response. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we have the text, and this text is going to be the variable, which is the variable in our test words. You can see in the test words, test is the variable which will hold the word fragment or the fragmented word. Okay, let's go ahead and do that again. Okay, duration, let's go for 10 seconds. And this is going to be a variable which is test. Okay, this is going to be the word fragment, and where should it appear? We want it slightly above the center point, right? So it should be at the center, but slightly on the upper side of the upper half of the screen. Okay, so we have the word fragment there. Now we need a typing response. Now typing response is a response component, and if you scroll down, you can see this a text box. So this is a typing response. If you add this into your routine, this is so you can just keep this blank, which means it will be like there will be nothing but a cursor when you see it, and you check this and make it editable, which means it will take the type response. And just like the word fragment, we want the timeout at 10 seconds. So that is there, and it's going to be at the center of the screen, which is fine for us. Rest of it all will be default. So we have the typing response here. Now, what do they do after they type? So we need a click to submit button, right? So let's add a click to submit button, which will basically be a text, okay, which is in the lower half of the screen. So we started with the upper half. So the word fragment is going to come on the top half. The typing response will be taken in at the exact center, and the click to submit will be on below that. So let's say click to submit the response, and again duration, let's change to 10. Okay, if they don't click, it will just move on. Okay, so we have that will be just text, and we want it on the lower half. So let's go for 0.3. So we started with 0.3 positive, 0, 0, then minus 0.3. So that's how it's going to be stacked up. Okay, so now we have the click response here. Now we need to add the mouse, right? Because mouse response should happen for this to be implemented. So let's go and add a mouse response, and mouse response on valid click, which means you should click on the play at the area where you want the participant to click, right? Any random click will not do. Okay, now what is the clickable stimulus? It is text underscore 3, because that is our click to submit text. Okay, so we have that. All right, all good. Okay, so we have all the 4 components of our experiment ready. Now we need to add the loop for this routine. Okay, hang on. Okay, let's add the loop for the test routine. It's going to be here. Okay, new loop here. Okay, now which is the file? The file is the test words, the word fragment that I had shown you, which is the file name for that is test words. And you can see that there are 10 word fragments. That name of the parameter is test, which we have specified here as a variable. Okay, you need to change this to set every repeat. Cool, now we have that. Yes, so here end rep, again changing it to 1, so that's manageable. Okay, now we should be ready to go. So let's look at it again. Initially you will have a text coming on the screen, which is from the study list of words in the study list, or the words from the study list, and a slider that will ask them how familiar they are to the word, about the word. And then in the test routine, you have the test text fragment that is going to come on the screen, and a text box where you can type in your responses, and then a click to submit button, which is again a text stimulus, and a mouse response so that they can go to the next trial. Okay, so we should be ready to go. Let's run the task. All right. Okay, we have the PsychoPy window. Now, okay, it says study test not defined. So let's go and see why is that the case. Study test, was there a typo? Okay, yeah, okay, that was a typo. You can see here it's not study test, it's study underscore word. So I got it wrong there. So let's change that to study underscore word. Okay, so fine, this should be fine. Okay, so that's a word that is in the study list, and this is the slider that is asking me if it is familiar or unfamiliar. I'm going to give some responses. So this is the next word, tiger, familiar or unfamiliar. Again, yeah, so go for the familiarity response. Now that phase is done. So that's the study phase. Ideally, you would want a lot more words with different levels of familiarity. I'm sure all the study words that you just saw are familiar words, but in reality, you would be using words that are that vary in terms of their familiarity. Now you have the question. Now what is okay? It's going after 10 seconds. So let me give my responses as fast as possible. Vase. So this was vase. I'm going to click the stimulus. This is orange. Okay. This is from the list. Maybe this is piano. Okay. Again, I'm clicking this one. Click to submit. This is camera. Okay, I knew all of them because I created them, but you would see a difference when participants are either pre-exposed or not exposed this. For example, I cannot come up with what this is. Okay, this is tiger. All right. Okay, this is book. Although it could be anything, it could be fool as well, right? So that's how it works. What is this? Okay, I don't remember. Keypad? I don't know. No, not keypad. Okay, I don't remember that. Yeah, fine. So, that's the experiment. Let's go and look at the data. Okay, we have the data file here. When you open it, you will see this. Okay. So, what is important for you here? This is right now at least not important unless you want to look at the familiarity, impact of familiarity on how well they complete the word fragment task. In that case, you might want to use this. You will have the familiarity or the response associated with the slider on this. But you can see here the slider response. This is 2.02. That means this one was more familiar than say this one. Okay, so that's how I responded to the slider. And if that data is important, yes, that you can use it. But the critical one for us here is the priming score. Now, what is priming score? Priming score is you take the proportion of words correctly identified or not really identified, correctly responded to from the study list minus the words that were not in the study list but were correctly identified. So you have the proportion of that. You subtract those two values, and the resultant value is what you call the priming score. Okay, now let's say you can look at the typing response here. So this was a test word that was actually shown on the screen, the word fragment that was shown on the screen, and the typing response. Okay, where is the typing response? Yeah, here is the typing response. All right, so let me remove this so that it's clear to you. I'm going to delete this. Okay, so for cushion and the second word, I think the second word was house. I did not give any response. Then for vase, orange, and piano, camera, tiger, book. So these are the sort of 6 words I could respond to. So let's now create some data. So how many? So let's let me type this. Number of, I call it hit when you correctly spell it, hit. Okay, number of hit from study list. Okay, let's say that was, let's say there were 100 trials, and from the study list I could identify 80 from it. Okay, so that's 80. And if I say what is the proportion? So 80 divided by 100. Okay, so this is going to be the proportion of me correctly spelling or completing the word fragment from the study list. Okay, so let me just not call it number, it's proportion. Okay, proportion of hit from study list and proportion of hit from non-study list, or proportion of hit for non-primed words. Let's call it like that. Okay, which means these are random words that were not part of the study words. So among that, let's say I was I was 50-50. Like out of 50, I gave 50 correctly completed. So which means the proportion is going to be 50 divided by 100. Okay. Now you have these two values, right? Now what is your prime score? Your priming score is the proportion of hit in the study list minus proportion of non-primed words. Okay, so this is 0.3 is going to be your prime score. All right, so this is how you can come up with the priming score, and yeah, I hope that is clear. All right, thank you.